Hi, welcome to another Time Travel with Travis. I'm Travis Childs, the Director of Education at the History Museum in South Bend, and I'm also your St. Joseph County historian. We're standing on top of the Colfax parking garage to give you kind of a bird's eye view of three different things we're going to talk about in honor of Copshome's 125th anniversary. Behind me is now Liberty Tower, but it used to be the plot of land that was the Oliver Hotel. James and J.D. at the latter part, or almost the end of 1800, looking at 1900, were bringing in a lot of business people from across the United States and across the world for the Oliver Chill Plow Works. There were hotels in town, but there wasn't anything that James and J.D. thought was fancy enough. So they decided they were going to build their own hotel. They had first contracted or contacted the Studebaker brothers, but they pulled out, so it was just James and J.D.'s idea and their clout to get the building actually built. They got it built. They had an opening ceremony in 1899. The hotel stood for a long time. It passed through many different management companies' hands. Eventually, it was torn down. Some of you who are seasoned and old enough to remember, it came down in the late 60s, early 70s. They tore it down, and then they built what is now the Liberty Tower building. Now, behind me, and long gone, where you see the JMS, or the back of the JMS building, between the JMS building and this parking garage, there is a parking lot. That parking lot was a location for the Oliver Opera House that the Oliver family built for not only James and J.D.'s pleasure, but all of South Bend. James really liked the theater, and at the time that he decided to build the Opera House, he felt like there were only about three, I believe, houses, theater houses, entertainment houses in town, and he didn't think they were sophisticated enough to house and draw the kind of theater experience and the famous theater actors and actresses to South Bend, so he decided to build one of his own. They started building. It was several stories. It had enough seats for 1,000 people in the auditorium, the main hall of the Oliver Opera House. They had all kinds of famous actors, actresses, stage actresses, famous opera singers come. Most of the press coverage that they got for the opening of the Oliver Opera House said it was one of the finest opera houses west of the Appalachian Mountains. They had a gigantic gas chandelier. It was fitted out with all of the latest technology of the time when it opened. They opened it in 1885. And just off to my left is now just a series of storefront buildings, but it was originally called Oliver Row. A year before they built the Opera House, James and J.D. decided that they were going to build a series of townhouses at the northwest corner of Main and Colfax. So the first townhouse, which is right at the corner, or was right at the corner of Main and Colfax, was called Apartment 1 or Townhouse 1. That was where J.D. and Anna Oliver first lived after they got married. They had all of their 4 children at their townhouse, and their baby, Catherine, was 10 months old when they moved out of here, and they moved into Copshome, the Oliver Mansion, 125 years ago this year. So they all started their married life right here downtown. This, I don't know what you want to say, triangle was kind of like the Oliver Triangle of buildings. It even behind Jenna, the filmographer here, in what is the parking lot, a back parking lot for the Morris Performing Arts Center. Mr. Oliver, James Oliver, owned that land. It was an ice skating rink in the wintertime, and he actually sold that to the city of South Bend because the city of South Bend wanted to build a new city hall. And they didn't really have any more land to attach anything to, and so Mr. Oliver decided to sell them the land, but he sold it at a loss to him. And so they built a city hall here, and that was torn down in the 70s. And when they built the current city-county building is when the city hall was torn down. It was a massive building, massive building. Some of you, like I said, are old enough to remember the old original city hall. But Mr. Oliver, James, and J.D., and their family felt beholden to South Bend because South Bend held their business. It was where James started his career as a factory owner, and he felt the need and felt the obligation that he share back to the city of South Bend some of the fortunes that he had been blessed with, and he felt that other entrepreneurs of that age should also give back to the community. James, I believe, when the Oliver Opera House opened, I believe the first production there of the opening night was, I think, Louis IX, something to that effect. I thought it was King Lear, but I had to look that up, but it turned out to be Louis IX play. And the Opera House stayed here for a long time, but it was eventually torn down because of the cost of trying to renew it. Renovate it inside was just too costly. I hope you enjoyed this time travel. You too can come down here to the Colfax and Main parking garage, and you can come up here and see what we're going to show you here on film. You can see it for yourself. Once again, Travis Childs, Director of Education, your St. Joseph County historian. Have a great week.